Lahat po ba kayo nasa Cavite or somebody else out here?
From Isabela Province.
Principal. Oh, that's nice.
Up from the north. Ang galing mo pa rin mag-Tagalog. I'm so happy. It's been so many years na. Elementary days, right?
Yes po. Yes po. You know, Ate Grace is one of the
Great.
smart kids at
Oh
school.
my God, no.
Yeah, she's very
No,
masipag to make the
no,
homework.
no.
Yeah. They always
Time
saying
out.
na kapag masipag kang mag-aral, you will end up being the lecturer or professor because
Oh my
you're so
gosh.
passionate about academics.
Oh
Totoo
my gosh.
yun.
You are.
Kasi
So nagbabatuhan
yung
lang
mga
kami, 'di ba?
nangongopya sa school, ano eh, iba yung diskarte after graduate, 'di ba?
Yes, that is correct. That is
Para-paraan.
correct. Just go. And you're the one who always stay up late, if I remember. That's what Ate Hosanna always talks about you. That you're the one who always stay up late, always studying.
Wala, nagdodota lang ako. Just charot. Hindi po ako nag-aaral, nagdodota lang po talaga ako.
Grabe.
Just start in the next 2 minutes so we don't drag the information and we can start. But they keep
Okay
coming
po.
in. I do understand actually because this is Saturday and also at the same
Yes.
time, madami tayong ginagawa. So really thank you to all of you for making time for this educational webinar.
And for those who are already in, can you please tell your classmates to hop in? Let's go na, let's go na.
Mamaya na sila kamong pumunta sa canteen after ng class.
Let's go.
Pasok muna sila, mag-attendance muna sila. Mamaya na sila
Grabe.
mag-cutting. Masyadong maaga mag-cutting.
Parang di tayo nagka-cutting, no? O baka ikaw hindi ka nagka-cutting. Ako kasi, I do.
Okay. Admit all. Okay, I'm just gonna put the admission on the admit. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Startup Venture Educational webinar. Before we start and before I will introduce myself and the objective of this program, I would like to remind the participants about the simple rules of our webinar. Stay muted, turn on the camera to have virtual connection, especially during the questions and answers. Please remove distractions such as using your phone, petting your cute dog or cat, and eating during the entire sessions. And yeah, so all right, it seems that everyone here is excited and enthusiastic. My name is Kathleen Martinez. I am a partner of our tech startup in Singapore, and we have a tech operation in India and marketing operation in Indonesia. And on behalf of our company, I will be your host today slash lecturer. And I would like to thank Ma'am Grace Barbecho for coordinating this webinar to happen. And our guest speaker, Mr. Ronald Richardson, will also join us today. First, I will share my understanding how to build a startup. It will be dry, casual, but informative lessons that I guarantee you no one in this room will leave uninspired. I believe after this session, you will be convinced to start your own company and you will be amazing and unstoppable. And because the first lesson will be technically boring, so we suggest a short break for 5 minutes. You can do whatever you want to do. You need to go to the toilet, call your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but you have to come back. And hopefully, after the session, after the break, I will teach you how to raise a capital, which is really important stage to build your business because without it, you cannot sustain the company. And therefore, it is predictable to fail. Now, to avoid failing, you have to come back after the break. And so you won't miss it. After the lessons about finance, raising the capital, our guest speaker will share his valuable lessons in startup. There will be questions and answers later, and that will be your privilege. At the end of this program, our company will give you a certificate of attendance. And so I keep adding people. So again, apologies that at my right hand is keep is busy because I'm clicking the admission. All right, so uh, the topic today is how to build your startup. This is your blueprint on how to make a multi-million value tech startup. I suppose many of you have heard a lot about startup, but unsure the difference between traditional business and startup and how you will categorize yourself. Now, the difference between startup and business have many categories, but there are important bullet points to differentiate it. Startup is built primarily because they are designed to grow fast, which means the product or service can scale. On the other hand, a traditional business is not. Some business owners not necessarily care if they will scale. We call them traditional business. They could be a restaurant, convenience store, and many other type of business, but they do not scale. The second point here is startup is about problem solving. It is known for solving the world's biggest problem, while business could be selling traditional, products or services. On a financial perspective, startup has more equity, but the value is unknown, while business has limited equity, but many have real value. Now, we will talk more about equity later. I'm still admitting people, so my hand's busy. And then, now, if a startup is a problem solving, the question is, how do you solve it? Let me start with the samples of successful companies that solve the world's biggest problems, such as the Facebook, the biggest social media platform to connect with your friends and family in the world, such as Airbnb, whereby it connects travelers seeking affordable lodging with hosts who offer their properties for short-term rentals, such as Uber, Canva, Netflix, YouTube, and the list of startups go on. But why problem solving is your business model? Your ideas will come from problem solving. Your solution will be your product or service to offer to your customers. That's where the money comes from. But how to solve the problem? You must identify and define the problems, prioritize the problem based on size, potential impact, or urgency, complete a root cause analysis, evaluate possible solutions, and plan and implement these solutions. Suppose you have a list of the world's problems, solutions of the world's problems, but how if your solutions are valuable? How will you know that your solutions is really effective? I suggest asking for feedback, do a market test, do a research for validation of your idea. The next. How important is your feedback? Well, it will help you filter your solutions and evaluate it. By doing analysis, you will learn if your solutions are really available in the market, or if someone genius out there have built the startup with the same model concept. In short, you need to do your research if your idea is already existing. If it does, you must come up with better solution to disrupt. Okay, click the next one. Here are the examples of startups that solve the world's problems, and many of us here are using their products and services for one reason. We need it. We need it for convenience, to connect with people, and we also use it for our business. In short, these startups started by solving our problems on a daily basis. For example, it was hard to take a cab during the peak hour, and it's also unsafe. And that's how Uber solved the problem by providing us private and registered driver, and as well as transparent and flexible pricing. Possible solutions for all our situation on a daily basis. I'm still admitting people. Before you create, before you create your business model and detailed planning, state your objectives and values in your company, because the future of your business will start from the founder's beliefs, ethical standards, and culture. Build your foundation before you define your business and value of your team. It's really important because the culture, the business, the aspect, the respect will come from the founding team. Let me adjust the screen so you can see it fully. Now, suppose you are done writing your hashtag startup goals. It is time to create a competitive business plan. First, you write your business model, which is the problem solving, and discuss if your offer product or service. Be detailed in your target audience. Don't just anyhow say, hey, I have 100 million potential customers. You must be realistic with the market assumptions. I'm going to admit these people. And don't just, and then after you make a realistic market assumption, explain how you will reach out to your customers. Do not forget to list your competitors and explain your marketing strategy and identify your competitive advantage. At the end of the business planning, explain the finance, which is the critical part. Explain how you will utilize the investment and how you intend or explain your capacity to return it. It's all about how you will use the investment, how you will have the capacity to return the investment. If you find this explanation too fast or too many details to absorb, I will be happy to send you a copy of our pitch deck after this webinar. I'm still admitting people, so apologies my right hand. Now, but how you understand your target market? You have to know who they are, where they come from, and why they need your business. You have to do your research on the relativity of your business model to your market. In this process, your assumption is close to your realistic market needs. If your business model does not fit, you can test the market first and then evaluate it by survey, trials, and feedback. So do not be afraid to fail in the first phase of your product, because sometimes you really understand the business concept after you receive all the feedbacks of your customers. Now, suppose you are done with your business planning. Well done. And now it's time for you to build your team. This is an exciting part. Before you invite people in your company, you must understand if they have relevant skills, which means find partners with relevant and useful skills to build your company. Consider finding different operational skills to help you in different departments. The second is you must check carefully if your potential partners have positive attitude, because in building a business, it's not all about skills and talent. It is also about attitude. Find partners who don't crack under the pressures and partners who will add value to your business. Do not partner with people that you honestly believe that will just be a liable. Remember this. Positive attitude, discipline, and focus are the keys in building a team. And finally, make sure they can be available and dedicate to your business. Your team must have dedicated hours and efforts to help you. You can't just build a team based on a la la land concept. Just because someone is professional / cool / have a professional background or profile on LinkedIn, he or she must be qualified to be part of your company. They have to be relevant, useful, available, and visible. Now, after you understand what qualities of partners you are looking for, find them in different platforms. It can be your friends, professional network on LinkedIn, your competitor in pitch contests, or the mates that you have attended a party with. Or it could be just a like-minded stranger on social apps. The possibilities are endless. You just need to get out of your comfort zone to approach people for as long as you don't sound and look creepy that you are desperate to have a business partner. Make sure you have filter and professional approach. Most importantly, do your due diligence because with you when you partner with people, it comes with money and lots of liabilities. And we will talk about liabilities later. Now, suppose you have the right people in your team, and now what? The next step is to secure the partnership. You didn't want your partner that you talk about your great ideas and planning to become your competitor suddenly, just because you did not secure the partnership. So I suggest sign a fair agreement, seal the partnership, discuss clearly and openly about the partner's duties and liabilities, as well as the equity share your partner will hold in your company. My suggestion in the agreement is that if you want the best people in your team, you must be reasonable and offer them value. Now, when you are done with the paperwork, research, and it is time to build your product or service, you can use this plan. We call it product market fit pyramid. It is a concept coined Mark Anderson and refers to your startup being in a good market with a product that can satisfy the market. I believe that most of you are technical students, so I am sure that you are familiar with the word UX. First, UX means identify your target customer. Use market segmentation and create personas to get a picture of the people you want to target. It's not necessarily to be precise, but create a high level of hypothesis. Second is the feature set, which means what needs do they have that are adequately met. Third is value proposition. It means how you will meet your customers' needs better than your competitors. All of that you can address with your product, but which one you will focus on. Fourth, state your MVP feature set. Build only what is needed to create enough value for your target customers to validate the direction of your product. It means you have to also create the roadmap of your product, like what you're going to do in the phase one, phase two, phase three. And fifth is make your MVP prototype. It means create a version of your product to test your hypotheses with your customers. Apply users' experience principles to receive feedback and to bring your feature sets to life to your customers. Finally, test it out to your customers and ask for feedback. It will help you develop your product planning and improve it. This lesson is all about planning your model, formation of team to build your startup. Before we discuss the lessons of how to raise a capital, we will have a short break. And before the break, I will take a few questions. I think like I can take 4 questions. Do you have any questions? Maybe I will call your name. Okay. Okay, Velma, do you have any questions in doing a startup or building a startup?
So far, can you hear me?
Yes.
So far, no. But I just want to say that it kind of lightened me up because of the start that you say startup solve problems while business is just sell products and make people to buy it. The difference of that is really good. Now I get it now.
Okay, that's nice. You know, when I started in the business, I am just anyone else. I started by selling products and services. And then at the end of the day, I realized why I am not making good enough money, no matter how much I work hard, how much efforts I put it in. That's because I realized that my type of business is not scaling. Scaling means it's not multiplying the customers, the products that I'm selling. So imagine if you do have that company and you have numbers of users. Sometimes you're sleeping and people are subscribing. Sometimes you don't even know your customers. So that's what I mean about scaling. Do you have any more questions regarding building your company, doing a startup? Maybe I will call Jenna Weasley. What's her full name? Maybe I call her. Okay. Hi, Jenna.
Hello po.
Yeah. Do you have any question po?
As of now po, I have no questions po. Everything you said is clear po.
I
Okay.
think I have one.
Okay po. Nakakatakot kapag si Ma'am Grace ang
I
magtatanong.
know.
Pwede na mag-back out. Just kidding.
And
Okay po.
and kasi these kids, no, they're kids, and usually the problem with these kids is that they have this idea, but they just don't know if it's gonna work. And can you give at least maybe aside from the things that you already discussed, like any tip, like um, at least maybe one or two to just justify like is it gonna work or is it not gonna work para
Ah,
maging okay sa kanila.
Okay. That's actually a valid question that many of us, come from there. So I will
Mm-mm.
say before I answer that poll, I will accept these people trying to come in. Okay. First, do not be afraid to ask questions if you do have ideas, if you are confused. If you think that you do not have the capacity or you are scared to ask questions, maybe you are going to ask questions to the wrong people. Because if you're going to ask the right people, they will not take it negatively. For example, as your professor, as people you respect, as people who are relevant in the startup or the industry that you want to be in. Secondly, before you build your company, I would say start by writing your ideas. Look around what's the problem you're going to solve. You know why? For example, ang Uber, they started because of the problems na medyo mahirap mapagkatiwalaan ng mga driver. And also, hindi transparent ang fare. And that's how they solve the problems of being transparent. You can monitor the transportation, and also at the same time, you know who's going to drive you going home, so you feel safe. And then many people are using the apps. And also right now, many people are also copying the apps such as Grab, such as, Gojek in Indonesia. So what we will talk about disruption in the next phase of our program. The point here is look around you and ask yourself, anong may problema in my surroundings that I can potentially step in to solve it? Yun ang actually ang business model mo. Like for example, our company Startup Venture is actually connecting startups and investors. It started from the problems that I encountered in the past. I had a hard time pitching to investors for many reasons. One, I am foreigner in Singapore. Two, I am female. Three, I do not have the background na mayaman ako or I come from elite company that I can back it up. I do have a lot of insecurities. I do have a lot of questions. So I feel this is my barrier to succeed, to be successful. So what I end up, instead of me proposing a different business model, I solved the problems, and now this is our business model. We are connecting startup like yourself to the investors because I want to break the barrier, because it's not about where you come from. It's not about how young you are. It's not about kung mahirap ka ngayon, mayaman ka. It's not about those things. It's about your determination, your capacity, and the best person that you can possibly be in the next few years. So imagine that. So in the fast few years, I was so insecure and clueless how I can move forward. And I realized it's not just about skills. It's not about talent. It's not just about team. It's about courage. Maraming matatalino, pero at the same time, they're still working on a 9 to 5 or I'm not belittling people who work in 9 to 5. This is amazing because we all have different type of professional. What I'm saying is, madaming matatalino na tao, but at the same time, they do not have the courage to start their own. And that's gonna be your different to other people. Yung lakas ng loob mo. So imagine mo, yung lahat ng pinaghirapan mo noon, na nag-aaral ka, yung mga rejection sa'yo, put it all together. Once you build that together, you will have the courage to push yourself forward to start your own company. Now, back again to Ma'am Grace, yung question niya. I think if you have the idea, but you are not sure to build your own startup, I humbly suggest create your team. Sometimes, magaling ka sa math or magaling ka sa product development, pero hindi ikaw yung tao to pitch to the investors. Kasi no matter how good you are, you're still limited by skills. You're still limited by your talent. And instead of pushing yourself so hard, oh, okay. Yes, I understand. Hindi kasi tinuro sa generation natin kung paano gumawa ng pera. It's always the mainstream old school idea na mag-aral ka para magkaroon ka ng magandang trabaho. I think that's correct.
That's correct.
That's also good, actually. You know why? Because back in the days, ang sabi nila, you have to hustle to make money. That was few years ago. That's the mindset of si Elon Musk nga. He made the company successful. Hindi naman nakagraduate. That's fine. Pero how many of us are the same mindset of Elon Musk here? Maybe one or two, or maybe none of us, right? The point here, hindi lahat ng tao kayang mag-hustle na walang edukasyon. So you cannot belittle the education just because you want to make money. May importante pa rin ng education because it will be your foundation to build your values, your understanding how to run your company, your concept, how to create your own culture. So, how I wish sa mga schools tinuturo din yung entrepreneurship, like skills of life. I think nowadays they are. There are a lot of schools nowadays that developing the courses. When I was younger, I'm not old. I'm not that old, but I'm not young either. But when I was younger, wala kaming course na ganun. I always just wanted to finish the courses, get a job, and that's it. I only realized the importance of making your own business in the later years of my life. And 30 plus na ako when I started that. So what I'm saying here, just because hindi mo natutunan sa school yun, or just because wala kang exposure, or wala kang friends, or wala kang family that can help you to build that skills, doesn't mean late na mag-start. Kasi wala namang kompetensya sa timing. Your only competitor is yourself. Kailan ka magsisimula? Kailan mo tatanggalin yung negative mindset mo? Kailan ka magkakaroon ng lakas ng loob na magkaroon ka ng friends, ng teammate? It's all about courage and convincing yourself. You know what? Do not be scared to ask questions, okay? Because I'm reading it here, and this is our opportunity to share that. Anyway, po, I will admit one, and we will have a short break for 5 minutes. I do hope you will come back because the next session will be about raising your capital. And in the last part, we will introduce the guest speaker, which is Mr. Ronald Richardson. Balik po kayo, ha?
Of course, of course.
5 minutes break lang muna po. Okay.
Sure po. Pwede po tayong
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Can you also see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes po.
So I just want to make sure you can. I'm gonna lower the sounds first. All right, po. So now we are back from our short break. Earlier, we discussed about someone's coming in. Okay. Earlier, we discussed about creating your business model. Now, before you create a financial plan, you must design your revenue model. It means you must know your product or service price to create the revenue model. So I'll put here. Okay, you can see better? Okay. So it means you must know your product or service price to create the revenue model of your startup, like how much per subscription and how many users you are targeting per year. For example, when you have the financial assumptions, it will help you understand your financial plan. How to make a financial plan is based on 5 major financial components. You have to define your financial goals. It means how much revenue you are targeting per year. Then make rough cash flows projections on how you will utilize the money in your operation expenses. Third is assess your risk. It means not only that it's important to know your numbers, but also you must have the financial strategy on how you will sustain the business. Many startups have big ideas, but they fail in operations because they can't sustain it. Now, define your investment strategy based on the factors above: goals, cash flow projections, and risk. Then review and refine your plan regularly if it makes sense, realistic, or achievable. Let's go to the next page. Suppose your skills are not in math. You hate numbers, but you are talented in creating the products. That's fine, actually, because we all have different talents and strengths. If you can't do your financial planning, seek for help. Ask advice to your university professor, family, or relatives who know finance. Or if you are not comfortable that they will know what's up in your business or in your planning, then hire a professional. It can be an accountant or financial consultant. Now, the next question is, but how to find investors for your startup? There are a few different categories and stages in investment. For this lecture, we are focused on helping early stage or pre-seed startups. So I will say you can raise an investment through crowdfunding with your relatives or friends at small amount. If you want to raise more money, let's say $20,000, and that's the conversion in the Philippines, like 400,000 pesos, you can raise it to angel investors, university or government grants. If you can't find any contacts that can help you, you may want to take a risk in bank loan. The venture capital firms that I mentioned earlier on are investment companies that will invest not based on idea, but the startup must have existing operation in execution process, meaning you already are delivering the product to the users or customers, and have current investment because they invest at higher value, from 100,000, for example, to multi-million value. To achieve that, you must have a startup from scratch, which means create your business model that I discussed earlier on, build your team, because nobody will invest to a company that just only have one founding team, and then raise small investment. When you have these three things, three major things, you will be able to tell to the investors what you have accomplished, that you are not just based on ideas, you are not just based on creating portfolio, but you are someone who understand how to execute it. Last but not the least, our company Startup Venture has launched our phase 1 development in apps. Yay, we are so happy. It is available now on Google and Apple Store, where you can download it for free. We help aspiring startup founders like yourself and innovators to pitch your business on our platform. There are lists of investors available in our platform that can help you, and you can reach out to them. At the moment, our platform is free subscription, so we are inviting everyone here to join us. So this is your homework, guys. After this program, ask yourself later tonight, what is the problem that I want to solve? How I can solve it? Who are the people that I can trust to be my partner or be in my team? And what kind of product or service I will offer to my users? Put it all together. If you don't have, if you want that you don't need to sleep, do it. Because the exciting part is right now. Ito yung momentum mo. So, nabubulok sa Tagalog. This is your chance. This is your journey. So, what I'm saying is, when you have that moment, take a pause, break, and analyze, and reach to Ma'am Mary Grace Barbecho to help you. She's always has been very helpful. Or you can reach us to us via email, and we will check your pitch deck. We will help you analyze it. We will help you edit that. And then we will give you a free subscription to the people that Miss Mary Grace is giving an opportunity in the pitch, so we can help you find your investors. But before you do that, you must understand first the problem you are solving, the kind of product or service you are offering, how much investment do you need, and at the same time, plan your investment strategy of how you will use the investment and how you will return that investment. If you have innovating and a scalable business model and you need an investor, reach to us at support@startupventure.app. I can also share our email contact. We will select talented startups to offer you free subscription and refer you to our list of investors. Do you have any question, guys, before our guest speaker will come here? Do you have any question? Okay, Welma Jane. Si Welma yung nasa top list eh. Lagi nakataas ang kamay.
Is raising capital means you're going to risk everything?
Raising your capital in means what?
Means you're going to risk everything.
Well, depends. Most experienced startup, they don't raise for investment right away. I suggest to put your small money first. So the investor will see that you are already taking the risk on your own. For example, when I start, before I raise a capital, I invest my savings. And I tell everybody, I'm the kind of person you will not see me having a house, having kids, having a glamorous life, because I'm going to invest this money for our startup. So my answer to your question is yes, you will risk everything. And no, if you have enough money. To be safe, I would suggest to not to take all your money in the savings, because it can be a depression when your company will not work and you put everything in one basket. To strategize that, I would say that plan your financial plan in a way that 30% to put it in a budget where you can use for your product, another few percent for your operation, another few percent in case things won't work out. Because at the end of the day, like what I have said, it's not about having big ideas. It's not about being capable of running it. It's most important here is sustaining it. Madami nag-start, pero within a year they fail. So your strategy, starting from start, middle, ongoing, and ending. You have to plan your exit strategy. And exit strategy comes with a lot of financial plan. So for yourself, for example, ate, ang savings ko lang is 100,000 and ito na ang last ko. So ngayon ang business ko is above that. What I would suggest you is divide the expenses list and strategize ano ang pinaka-importante to prioritize, ano yung mga bagay na pwede mong i-delay on the next phase. So in short, you have to make your priorities in order. Pwedeng roadblock to success or protecting you from harm on untoward things. Yes, that. Thank you, Arnie Rose. Nasaan si Arnie Rose? Okay. Excuse me.
Hi, Ayi.
Hi.
Do you have any question, guys?
So far, wala naman.
But before, while he's trying to refresh, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, okay? Because you guys are so patient and kind to wait for an hour, so well done. Ron, I will introduce you. Our guest speaker, Mr. Ronald Richardson. He's American scholar in robotics honorably discharged after 5 years of services in the United States Marine Corps in MAGTF. So thank you, sir, for your service. He works with Singapore government to develop the first standardized bulk shipping operation platform. He designed, developed, and launched shipping container marketplace and launched by the Malaysia's Ministry of Transport in 2019. He also launched on-demand services and payment app Emil in Mongolia in 2017. Today, he is the Chief Technology Officer of a successful Logitech company in Singapore called Fleetbase. And today, he is giving back to the startup community because he has the combination of intellect, humble attitude, passion in technology. So, Mr. Ronald, our attendees are excited to hear from you, sir. But first, let me fix the problem.
Okay, can you just enable the screen sharing?
Enable this, okay.
All right, I'll just go back.
Okay, guys, thanks for your patience. This is Mr. Ron, and sorry for the technical situation. We will do our best next time.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hello, my name is Ron. I'm the founder of Fleetbase Private Limited. We're a logistics tech startup company based in Singapore. Basically, we provide an API-first logistics solution, and this is more for developers to build out logistics applications, and we also provide operations console. I'm a builder and maker of things. I like to build and develop things. I have a ton of side projects. I like to stream on Switch. I've acted in foreign films. I think DC is better than Marvel, and I do some art. This is my startup journey and what I've learned from it. So this is my quick start to making monthly recurring revenue and annual recurring revenue. So this is some of the basic things I'm going to go over. Kathleen has hit on most of these points already, but I'm going to go into them just a little bit because they are concrete when doing a startup. So first is funding options, your team, your CI/CD, have a plan, how to demo, and keeping it simple, and having fun while you're doing all of this. So there's three main ways to fund your company. Fundraising is the most obvious and straightforward option that most people go for. Grants is also a viable option. We've actually gotten a grant on one project from the Singapore government. And bootstrapping. So this is an option that we've decided to take just because our team, we had everything we needed in our team. So, and we had enough funds to get off the ground and scale from there. So it worked for us. And there's also obvious benefits to bootstrapping, which is you will retain most of your shares. So the first part is assemble a founder team. Make sure your founding team has applicable skills that you can use to scale your product or idea. Form a bond because running a startup is difficult and you need to have that bond in order to operate successfully. And it's also good to be able to communicate your frustrations and with each other. And while you're at it, develop a culture and use that culture that is developed for hiring. Continuous integration and development. I think this is one of the most important things if you're doing a tech product. So first of all, if you don't know what continuous integration development, it is your build and deployment pipeline. So if you have it automated, obviously you're going to be faster than any other company that does not have it automated. So you're able to increase your speed of innovation. Your code can be deployed to production. That means bugs, patches, whatever, you can have them rolling out multiple times a day. So make sure you get, if you're doing a tech product, make sure you have good DevOps in place and CI/CD pipelines and have them automated so that you can deploy code faster. It's extremely useful. Always have a plan. Make sure you have a solid game plan and stick to the game plan. It's okay for your plan to evolve, but mostly stick to your plan. So what we did at Fleetbase is we had a plan for basically scaling. We had to take into account our operating costs and how we're going to cover operating costs, how we're going to eat, how we're going to pay rent. So we made sure that our business was able to first cover our operating costs, and we put that into a plan. And then from there, it's just once we cover the operation costs, any new sales or deals that we make is just profit. So, or you can go back into the company, but make sure you have it in a plan. When it's time to demo your product, once you get your product ready, don't just demo your product. Don't just list out all the features because it will be extremely boring. Make sure that when you demo your product that you're telling a story or a problem that it solves, and also keep in context or scope to the business or individuals that you're demonstrating for that their issue is, and make sure that you focus on their pain points. Also be able to handle rejection. Keep it simple. You don't want to overcomplicate things. You don't want to make the process of building a business more difficult than it has to be. You want to keep it simple, and you don't want to overcomplicate, and you just want to build a basic product that solves the problem, and don't attach a bunch of features that you don't need yet, and launch. And then once you launch, you're able to get feedback from your customers, and that way you're able to build a better product with actual feedback. Have fun with it, because being a founder can be extremely stressful. I suggest picking up some diverse hobbies or something that will allow you to isolate yourself from work. Learn something new every quarter. Try and learn something new. Try and read new books, and have fun. These are my links, and if anyone has any questions, that's pretty much some of the core things I've taken from my startup journey.
Hi guys, do you have any questions?
I was just curious, Sir Ron, what's your very first project that you were able to pitch?
My very first project, do you mean like a side project, or like something I've done in context of Fleetbase? All right, so for Fleetbase, our first project is a project called Linkall, and it's still running in Malaysia. So since we have a developer platform that allows people to build up their own solutions easily, basically we provide like building blocks and whatnot. So our first project was to build a shipping container marketplace, which was sponsored by Port Klang Authority and launched by the Ministry of Transport. And this project was really good because it allowed us to demonstrate the power of our API first solution, and we actually learned a lot from it. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, can I ask another one?
Sure,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
When you were younger, since that most of our participants are students, when you were around that maybe 16 or maybe around 20, around that age, are you really into getting into project development, pitching? Is this your first love?
No, this is not. I'm a nerd, and I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Some people have it, and some people don't. It's just one of those things. Like, but I know that I have it because everything I've done since young has just been starting a business. So I've actually done multiple startups before this, side projects that have made money. And I just know that like working at a company or a corporation just isn't for me. It's like I've done it before, and I've been in big organizations, and I can't go back to it. So, but yeah, since young, I've been developing and building stuff.
I do have a question to you, Ron. These young people and aspiring entrepreneurs, they are like you in the past. Like they are curious, they don't have a budget, they don't know what to do. What is your advice coming from your experience, the foundation they need to kick it start? Because when you are someone from the province, for example, and you do not have the exposure of pitch events, you have no idea that it exists, how will you advise them to make it?
Okay, so my experience might be a little bit different because I was a nerd, and I first started picking up code and doing side projects. So I had that to my advantage, that I'm able to just build something on my own, and that's probably why the reason I didn't have to fundraise. Most people fundraise because if they're doing a tech product, they need to be able to hire developers and things like that. So I was able to just put up some websites or sell some scripts to kind of get some starting capital. But I also understand like not having access to any resources, because when I first was coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina, there wasn't a lot of resources back then for business. The startup scene was non-existent. I'm from the South, like there's nothing there really. It was an old mining like city. So my first business was actually a clothing line, and I think that if you want to get started and you don't have these resources, um, I guess you got to figure out some way to get started, even if you don't have the money. Like put something together, do like a presentation, or even if you can put a website together. That way you can work on building exposure or getting your name out there. And I think that you'll be able to meet the right people, and everything will start to fall into place.
Okay,
I don't know
that's a good
if that
advice to start. How about as a technical person in your background, what do you advise if your platform would not work as planned? How do you advise these young entrepreneurs to cope with the risk and the challenging situation based on your experience?
right. This is a good one. So there's two main options when you hit this road. Like you've completed your product and you get it out there, and it's just not getting the right reception as you'd expect, or it has issues, or whether it's technical or user experience issues. You have two options. First option, you can take a step back. You can look at everything and you can decide if you can make changes or get right feedback to get it in the right direction. If you can salvage that project into something that will work, that is the best option, I think. The other option is sometimes you just have to let it go and abandon it. And there's always something else that you can do. There's always going to be something next for you. And letting go of that project might lead you on to something better. You don't know. So I
Yeah,
think it's something you have to like figure out on your own mostly.
that's really thoughtful and really nice of you to share that. And also I want to ask, because you come from a different country and then you moved to Singapore and you have done amazing things in Singapore and overseas. And for you now it's easy, but looking at the process, I can't imagine how hard it was. So can you please advise these young entrepreneurs, how did you find your partners, how you come out with out of the box, because you are a nerd. I'm sure you spend a lot of time by yourself, and most of these kids are as well. So how do you find your partners, and what are your categories to decide if they are the right partners to bring in your company?
Right. So this is a very complex question. This can have multiple answers. So I think that you already know Josh. Me and Josh, we met through a networking event and we became good friends. I think mostly it starts off with friendship. At least in my experience, it starts off with some form of friendship. So I think the friendship is really good to have. It can work towards building a great team, or it can work against you because, I mean, there's drama in friendship. But finding the right people, I guess, is more like, I really feel like it's gonna come by chance. So like you have your friends, and then one of you has an idea, and obviously your friends are gonna share that idea, and you have to figure out like, can this person help build this? Can this person be a part of this? Is this person good at that? Is he good at marketing? Who can do sales? Those type of things. So that's the one thing you have to look past friendship on, is the skill sets. But I think, at least in my experience, it's mostly started with friendship. So just going to events, going out, meeting people. You know, that's mostly been my experience. Sometimes people reach out to me. That's happened before, like because they hear about you and then they share their idea. So that can happen as well. But I think friendship is very important in business. That's just my opinion.
Thank you so much, Ron. And Miss Mary Grace asked a question here. Is cultural differences hard in forming a team, and how it can also be an advantage?
No, I don't think cultural differences is a challenge. I think it can be a barrier in some ways, but ultimately, what I've discovered is that, I mean, in all my travels around the world, most people are doing the same thing, thinking the same thing. It's really easy to get along. It's really easy to find something you relate on. I think especially in 2021 when there's like a global culture now. So I don't think that culture will be a huge barrier, at least from my experience. Like everyone I've like just got along with, there's always been good vibes. So I don't think that culture is a really big barrier. It may be a barrier for like, depending on where you're launching your product and how people receive it. That might be it.
Okay, my last question right now. In 3 bullet points, what are your main consideration to consider partners to be in your team based on qualities or your decision? 3 bullet points, the main factors of decision making.
Okay, number one, work ethic. You want to make sure that just because they're your friend doesn't mean they have good work ethic. You want to make sure that person has the ability to put in the work it takes to build your business. You want to, that's number one, in my opinion. Two, ability to communicate properly, from anything from frustrations to ideas or whatever it may be. Communication is a huge thing, just like in any relationship. Communication is always going to be key. And I guess my third one would be skill. We've talked about this a lot, but you got to make sure that person can bring something to the table, because you don't want any passengers in your business. That's the last thing you want, is a passenger. You want someone that has a skill that can benefit what you're trying to do. And I think that's my number three, my top three.
Wow. I am moved from your perspectives, and it's really realistic, and yeah, it's really valuable. So thank you so much, Ron, for sharing your experience, perspectives, and tips to the aspiring entrepreneurs. And you are giving back, and all I can say is thank you so much to Miss Grace, to all the students from different regions. They are shy, but guys, you can reach out to us if you have extra question to Ron. Reach to us and support Fleetbase. They are existing logistic company in Singapore, and they are moving forward in Asia. Hopefully, they will also have business in the Philippines, and if it will happen, please support them.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
I wanted to say thank you for having me, Kathleen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone, and keep in
Thank you
touch.
very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
On
ma'am.
behalf of
Thank
the
you, sir.
University of
Thank you po,
Perpetual
ma'am.
GMA and
Sir.
Isabella.
Maraming
Thank
salamat.
you.
Maraming salamat po.
Po.
God
Terima kasih.
Mabuhay.
Thank you po.
Okay.